Trump moments ago claiming America's inflation problem is over.
We're ending the inflation nightmare, the worst that we've had probably in the history of our country.
Only, as you're about to see, that nightmare is far from over, because today, Team Trump was laughing when pressed on whether they're making progress on trade deals with countries around the world. Here's the Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick.
We have every country in the world, just like Donald Trump has said, who wants to do a deal with us. Now, here's the point. I have a deal. Done. But I need to wait for their prime minister and their parliament to give its approval, which I expect shortly. Well, I'm not going to tell you what country.
I mean, as if it's like playing a game with a kid. I'm not going to tell you what country. I mean, it felt very flippant, right? As if this were a game. But of course, this is incredibly serious business. The effects of Trump's trade war are already being felt. We got this report today from longtime retail price expert Dana Telsey. Carl Quintanilla at CNBC had posted a clip of it, so we went and got it from Dana because it's amazing what it goes through with the prices. Dana is in the business of tracking prices, and here's what she's already seeing happening. If you just look at these prices, these are week-on-week prices as she was looking. Barbie up 42.9% if you were to buy a Barbie doll. A DKNY puffer, these are just the items that she's tracking week in and week out. So DKNY puffer, 37% increase. And a drill kit, one of those ones where you can put all of your drill equipment and screwdrivers and stuff on the side from Tractor Supply, up 3.8%. So prices are rising. Now, sporadically, some things not at all, and some things, as you can see, a whole lot. And today, we are learning that Trump was not okay with the ideas that Americans might find out just how much more they're paying, where the tariffs are impacting them. So this morning there was a report. It came out, said Amazon is going to show the price of an item, and then next to it they're going to break out the tariff so that a consumer would understand exactly where a tariff is hitting, exactly why a price is going up and by how much. So Trump finds out about it, and then here's what happens. So first, his press secretary goes out and calls it a hostile act.
This is a hostile and political act by Amazon.
So Amazon being transparent with consumers about tariffs is hostile and political. That's how it started. Just to be clear, transparency is hostile and political. So then what did Jeff Bezos do? Well, Amazon retreated, and really quickly. In a statement the company wrote, the team that runs our ultra-low-cost Amazon Hall store considered the idea of listing import charges on certain products. This was never approved and is not going to happen. They didn't even want to use the word tariff, they're import charges. Well, maybe it's not going to happen because Bezos got a call from Trump, who, according to sources, was so angry that he did call Bezos directly.
Great. Jeff Bezos was very nice. He was terrific. He solved the problem very quickly, and he did the right thing, and he's a good guy.
Okay, he did the right thing. It is worth saying again what the right thing is in Trump's view of this. The right thing was to prevent consumers from seeing the cost of tariffs on items they are buying on Amazon. The right thing to do was to hide the tariffs. So now why is Trump doing this? Because up until now, his team has said, sure, price hikes are happening. Don't worry about it. They are a small price to pay for Trump's MAGA agenda.
As American people ready to get the country back on track and do what it needs to, or do what it takes to make that happen, absolutely. We're going to have to adjust some prices for it.
Access to cheap goods is not the essence of the American dream.
There'll be a little disturbance, but we're okay with that.
All right, that little disturbance is quickly turning into anything but, especially after Trump just fired back tonight at China.
Well,
Nothing's going to happen.
You know business.
Terry,
I want to ask you.
I do know business.
Yes.
And
so 145% tariffs on China, and that is basically an embargo.
They deserve it.
It'll raise prices on everything from electronics to clothing to building houses.
You don't know that. You don't know whether or not China's going to eat it.
That's mathematics.
China probably will eat those tariffs, but at 145, they basically can't do much business with the United States.
All right, eating the full cost of that, not something that any economic model would show is reasonable. And as for China's point, they're coming out now and saying they won't eat it. They are not backing down in Trump's trade war, neither side making any sort of move to do that. Although Trump, of course, did slash his own intended tariffs on China last week without negotiating with them. The Chinese leadership, though, seems to be more emboldened. Just take a look at this new video. It comes from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The communist government vows in this to, quote, never kneel down in Trump's trade war.
Bowing to a bully is like drinking poison to quench thirst. it only deepens the crisis. All bullies are just paper tigers.
Okay, I mean, and it goes on for this is in 2 minutes. I mean, there's no ambiguity. You might sometimes say, oh, well, the Chinese, they be a little bit, ambiguous about what they want. No, that's very clear there. You don't actually see Trump in it, but it is clear that they are directing this directly at him. And the video is now resonating with people across China. If you look at some of the posts on Chinese social media, and we do this every day, no kneeling. This video brought tears to my eyes. The whole world is uniting against the bully. China will never kneel or back down. And then this, show them the sword. Jeff Zeleny is live in Macomb County, Michigan. That's where Trump is speaking right now in his 100 days in office to celebrate that. Jeff, how worried is the White House right now about the economy, these prices?
Erin, there's no doubt that is one of the central challenges facing the president and the White House. You wouldn't necessarily know it, though, by listening to the first hour of the president's remarks here. He's still behind me on stage calling up supporters of various stripes. He's talking more about his last act than his next act. But the economy, no doubt, is front and center in all of these challenges. His administration is trying to work toward a budget and tax plan, now setting a deadline of July. And that is what his presidency indeed could hang on. Mr. Trump has barely talked about that here tonight, or tariffs. I mean, tariffs also are part of the confusing, pattern of the first 100 days. But I've been spending some time here talking to voters in Macomb County, the surrounding area, that sent him to the White House. And yes, President Trump's supporters largely still support him. But, Erin, one thing I detected in conversation after conversation was that economic anxiety. They remember that the president campaigned here and elsewhere on bringing prices down. It was that simple. So the owner of a diner not far from here, Erin, summed it up perhaps best in a conversation I had with him. He said, look, it's too early to give the president a grade. He said if the economy improves, if tariffs work, he'll be a success. If not, he said it will not be good. He doesn't look at polls. He looks at who's in his restaurant. And consumer confidence is down as we head into the summer months here. So, yes, the economy is front and center. The president, though, has barely talked about it here tonight. Erin?
All right, Jeff Zeleny, thank you very much. And everyone is here with me. Peter, to this point of consumer confidence and uncertainty, you had one of the, an American bellwether, backbone of America company, General Motors, come out here in the past day and say, sorry, I know we were supposed to report earnings. We can't. We need a couple more days to even do it. I mean, it's an unprecedented thing to even think about. A company like General Motors coming out and doing that. Is Wall Street scared about stuff like that?
I think the longer this goes unresolved, the first thing we saw was that people started not giving guidance. That was the first thing that really sort of harked back to COVID, right? When
Southwest or American Airlines.
Exactly,
yeah.
Where they do not have enough certainty or enough information, because literally we do not know anything more than we did on Liberation Day about any of these, the actual numbers and what countries and whatnot. Each day it keeps going further and stays unresolved. The companies are going to try and come up with some way to sort of either postpone the delivery of earnings and guidance in some way. And this is tranche number 2. The first was not to give guidance, and now it's to actually hold back earnings and guidance altogether until they get some kind of information. Right? Because it's a 50-50 play here. They may know tomorrow what the numbers are going to be and be able to give a good number, or down the road, maybe people's focus. We all have sort of ADD in a way. Every day we're being given something else to either worry about or be positive about. And so a couple more days off, maybe we won't think about what General Motors did.
I think this is really big. And especially for Mary Barra. She is one of the most highly respected Fortune 500 CEOs. She has been in the auto industry for 30 years. She represents not just the big automakers, but the entire supply chain. She was on a dais at a summit last week, and there were so many quotable moments there. But the first thing that she said, I wrote it down because it's staggering. She said, I need clarity, and then I need consistency. And then she continued from there to talk about it takes 5 to 6 years to manufacture a car. And what's at risk here is not only shareholder equity, but of course all those folks who are employed in the entire supply chain. Now, I think they dialed back because the administration also pulled back on some of those levies today in reaction. So some of this is competitive, but it's kind of like saying, you're going to go to the DMV and you're going to go take a driver's test. And you're going to arrive down there, and we're not going to tell you the rules. We're not going to tell you, do you need to parallel park or do you need to stop at the signals, right? What she's basically saying is stacking levies on levies for different auto parts. I don't even have clarity what that looks like. I need a line of sight. I need a freedom to operate. This was a very big thing for her to come out and do this.